Hi, I'm Avery,
I'm Lily.
and welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are covering Planet Hulk as part of our running series on doing free movies once every month. This movie is currently free on Vudu and YouTube Movies, but it might not be by the time this episode goes up. We'll see. Either way, I will leave a link in the description where you can buy or rent the movie. So,
I actually want to start out this one. And so, I've seen a lot with, Hulk. But I've always seen, the live action stuff where, he's not just permanently a great monster, he's also, so that's like a human form. I've always wondered, why every time I see Hulk in animation, he's just stuck as, green.
yeah, in full on Hulk mode. With this story, it kind of makes sense because this is coming off of a time. Okay, if I were to relate this to the MCU, which I know you haven't seen, yeah, you've seen a bit, but you haven't seen most of it. This would be coming right after Avengers: Age of Ultron, if it were canon, which it's not. Where the Hulk and Banner are technically two separate entities inhabiting the same body, and Banner sees Hulk as a monster and as a problem and as something to avoid.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the Hulk also kind of has this thing where he sees all the damage he's caused in his rampaging and is like, this is horrible. I don't want to deal with this right now. I'm going to go back to being Banner.
Huh.
So, yeah, the Hulk actually concedes to going back to being Banner. But, because in this movie, he's on Sakaar and the people are, proud that he's the Hulk, he doesn't end up going back to Banner status. So, in the MCU, when this happens, I'm just going to kind of go ahead and spoil this. He's the Hulk for 2 years.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that clears a lot of things up now.
Yeah. So, in this movie, Iron Man is the one who sends Hulk away on a jet, and whereas in the MCU, it's kind of Hulk himself. And the MCU kind of just took the Planet Hulk storyline and mostly abandoned it and fused the tiny pieces of it that they had in with the Thor Ragnarok storyline. So it was kind of odd coming from that movie and knowing characters like Korg and Meek, but they are completely different in this movie. Korg is a lot funnier in Thor Ragnarok. But in this movie, he's just incredibly serious and such. And Meek barely had a role in Thor Ragnarok, and Meek was pretty great in this movie. I'll say that.
Wasn't he the one that I'm not a fighter, I'm a hider?
Yeah, I'm not a fighter, I'm a hider. And then going from that to being, I'm not a hider, I'm a fighter.
I mean, he definitely took out the traitor.
Yeah.
That was that. I really enjoyed that part.
Okay, so in this movie, Iron Man basically decides to send Hulk away from Earth to a planet that has no intelligent life. It's just animals and plants. But the Hulk escapes his bindings and accidentally veers the ship on a different course, and he ends up crashing on Sakaar and getting captured, forced into kind of slavery where they have to fight to the death to get freedom.
Like a gladiator.
Yeah, a gladiator style thing. we get to meet some other characters. We meet Korg, and we learn a lot about their backstories and shit. It was nice to see that whole thing regarding Korg and his like some other members of his species landing on Asgard and trying to capture Thor and just like massively failing at it. And then on top of that,
Okay, so that was Thor.
Yeah, that was Thor. And then
Okay, but who was the other
the other one was Beta Ray Bill.
Huh.
Yeah. Beta Ray Bill,
I never heard of
it
that.
was really nice to see Beta Ray Bill in this movie. That was cool.
Can you explain a bit
No.
more about them?
Because he might be coming into the MCU and I want to avoid spoilers.
Okay. So they try to capture Thor, failed miserably, and then tried to run away.
Yeah, and then they tried to run away. Of course, Beta Ray Bill follows them and then gets captured as well. So that was interesting.
Okay, can you answer me this? Is Beta Ray Bill like a god like Thor?
So there's this thing called the Thor Core.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of like the Green Lantern Corps, except it's Thor.
Okay. You explained like a lot about Green Lanterns off screen sometime ago.
I assume most people here know what Green Lantern is. I mean, meh. But anyway, so yeah.
If you don't, go watch a video.
What was the chick's name that was the right-hand guard, I guess, of the... What was his name? What was he called? The Red King?
Oh God, I don't remember.
I don't remember her name.
I definitely remember like her backstory was served the king that caused this outbreak.
Yeah, and see, like, I saw that whole thing with the spikes, and I'm like, that we never saw any like actual alien race doing this. So to me, I was like, this just looks like a weapon. I think the Red King caused this. And then later on, like, it turns out, oh, I'm right. The Red King actually did cause this. Fun.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, oh wow, I never actually thought of anything about that. And then when I saw, the Red King was the cause of it, I was like, wow, I was completely surprised by that. Like,
okay, so that one actually surprised you. Okay,
definitely.
I called that one, so.
Yeah, especially how that turned, the dynamic between her and the Red King complete 180 as saved to caused.
Yeah. And then, like, there are people who criticize this movie for saying the Red King should not have told... God, what was her name? It's going to drive me crazy not remembering her name. I literally just watched it, like, 2 hours ago.
I watched it sooner.
Yeah. But then again, like, I also was like, okay, I'm not going to remember her name for the podcast. Let me go back and see what her name is again so that I can remember it. And then I still forgot it.
We actually have to use Google for this one.
Yeah.
Let me open up a new one.
Yeah, just open up Google. Like, find out what her name is. Shit.
What was it? You can talk about somebody else while I'm doing this.
Yeah, okay, so... shoot. So they go through this whole Gladiator Arena thing, and they have to, like, win 3 battles to earn their freedom or whatever. But, of course, like, the Red King doesn't want that. which, like, the Red King wants him dead. Which reminds me, there's a really, really stupid bit of dialogue early on in this movie where it's like, it was something like, "Behold, your king is going to grant this Hulk his life," or something. It was like very specifically saying that he was going to let him live. And then like 2 minutes later, they're like, he says, "Who said anything about letting him live?"
Okay, to me it felt like I granted him his life on this day. And it's like, you're gonna let him live? Wait, who said I'm gonna let him live? I'm gonna kill him in the next Gladiator fight. Like, it's basically like a publicity
And then
stunt.
like that second Gladiator fight, they call out this like gigantic monster with like all those weird tentacles and such, and I was like, this just straight up looks like something out of a hentai.
Oh my god.
Like, that was literally my first thought.
I mean, I just like, because they're all like robotic. That's not what I thought.
Yeah, well, everything was robotic except for that thing. And also
Anyway.
the other people that were like Korg.
Kyera.
Yes, Kyera. Okay, so there are people who complain about this movie, saying that the Red King was stupid to tell Kyera that he was the source of the spikes. Which, by the way, isn't really explained at all. It's just kind of hand-waved away. It's like, oh, they're my greatest weapon. But they never really explain how he came into possession of the spikes, or if he built them, or what. So I feel like that was kind of weak. But
he was killed before they could explain.
Yeah, well, maybe. Anyway, I personally think it was inevitable that he would tell Kyera that he was the one that caused the whole thing. Because remember, like, he's a tyrant. Tyrants are always they always have inflated egos. And he would, of course, think that she would remain loyal to him regardless. Because he's the Sakarsan.
Yeah. I think, his motive behind that, and the fact that, she's questioning it. So it's just like, oh yeah, I caused it. If he lied, it wasn't. His lying would be halted pretty soon after.
Yeah. And can we talk, okay. There was just this random moment where Kyera and the Hulk almost kissed. And I was just like, what the fuck? That literally came out of nowhere.
I know it came out of nowhere, but I'm just like, oh my god, I love this. I actually really did like the fact that they, it definitely did seem like it could have happened.
Get this hetero garbage off my screen.
Oh.
I'm kidding, of course. It's just completely weird, random, and unnecessary.
Especially how I understand how there's no build-up, but I definitely
there's no build-up, and there's no payoff either, because there's just that almost kiss scene, and then nothing else regarding that throughout the rest of the movie.
I feel like that was added in case if they're like, what if we made a sequel? Well, I mean, this could be done in a maybe sequel.
Yeah, and then that's another thing, too. Like, this movie wasn't made by Marvel Studios. It was outsourced to Lionsgate. And this was back in the time when the Marvel Studios logo was their flipbook logo, which, in my opinion, is better than their, 30-second montage logo. But that's just me. So,
it gives Cinema Sense another thing to complain about.
So the spikes were kind of a weird thing. They kind of, anyone they touch, they start randomly growing spikes out of their body and they go insane and they basically become zombies infecting other people. And it's just like I don't really understand how the Hulk got cured of the spikes. That seemed a bit like that was just kind of yada yada away. Like they didn't even try to explain it.
I want to say,
Unless
okay,
it was like his super healing or something. But I figured even that would have been explained.
because it has like a scene where he's getting like fire, and it seems like fire is the thing that kills it. Though, of course, for everyone else, the fire that is needed
Kill
to
it would also kill
kill it,
them.
but with Hulk, it's a completely different
Yeah.
story.
Because, like, I mean, it's kind of debatable whether or not Hulk can even be killed.
I mean, he bled a lot in that movie.
Yeah, he did. And the weird thing is, like, his blood made plants grow. Because, like, some prophecies and whole shit. And I like that there was that one character who was actually like excommunicated from whatever religion it was. I don't really know. They don't actually name it because like he actually read the text and understood the prophecy better than a lot of the other people in the religion or literally everyone else in the religion. And he knew that the Red King was not the Sakaarson. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and then also, and one of it is because, the Red King just, like, just gave them a bit on the side, or just, threatened them.
So, to switch gears here, I like the Hulk's character development in this movie because like he actually does kind of have some character development. He goes from like saying stuff like "I don't need friends" to like actually saving the world or at least a village. And like it carries with like when he tells Meek that he doesn't need friends, it carries with it like almost like him admitting that he is a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of like how it seems. Like it's also kind of how it seemed in like the MCU, where it was just like the Hulk knew that he was a monster and that he was dangerous and causing a lot of harm. So yeah, that was pretty cool. It's kind of sad, like it is kind of sad a little bit that we didn't get to see Banner at all, but I mean I can let it slide. But I mean that was kind of it was kind of a dick move from Iron Man to do that.
What was I gonna say?
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I like how, Hulk's personality and, what he does completely changes on, his anger.
Right.
And you can definitely see this in this movie where, what his priority is definitely, focused on how angry he is.
Yeah. It's pretty great. And it was like kind of crazy to see like I think it's really good storytelling when you see Korg, like Korg's backstory and having like actually gone up against Thor and Beta Ray Bill and losing tremendously to later show up and fight Beta Ray Bill, and like it really shows you just how powerful the Hulk is, and I like that. Like that is
Oh yeah.
excellent storytelling. Because like we see how powerful Korg is early on when he defeats the other members of his species, who I'm not even 100% sure were actually his brothers. He calls them brothers, but like sometimes that's just a thing that you say to show a sense of camaraderie. So are they actually brothers? Is it just camaraderie? What is it?
we, we'll leave movie theories to deal with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of the backstories, there's one thing I noticed and I didn't particularly like.
What's that?
What was the girl that was on the thing that also got, like, captured?
Uh, Crap. I don't remember her name either. It was like something like Crowell or Noel or something. Ruel.
I'm gonna call her Noelle, but until yeah, I can't see, so Noelle it is.
Noel. Yeah, we're just calling her Noel. If you don't like it, deal with it. Let's be honest. This is a movie I
Noelle,
literally saw for the first time today, and I would watch it again. I would purchase it if I saw it for a
I
fair
would.
price. I wouldn't have to see it for like really cheap, but like if I saw it for a fair price and I had the money, I'd purchase it. Anyway, you were
That's what you're
saying.
saying. So, how, they go into, like, Noelle's backstory and then just completely, cut away to the Hulk, and we never get to hear any of that.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to hear the comedic one's backstory too, where he really wanted to say it, and we never got to see it on screen.
Right. Meek was basically the comic relief in this movie, and he was barely in Thor Ragnarok. Korg was basically the comic relief in Thor Ragnarok. Then
like
again, actually everyone was the comic relief in Thor Ragnarok.
I loved his character for being, like, comic relief. It seemed like he wasn't just built on jokes.
Yeah, because like
he was a character that was funny.
He was funny, and like he actually had development. He goes from being hider, not fighter, to fighter, not hider. When like he realizes that Hulk might actually be the Sakaarson, and like it later turns out that he actually is the Sakaarson. So like, yeah.
And the fact that he exposed to them the traitor and just immediately dealt with him.
Yeah, it was like he was put right in a situation where he had to do something, so he did it.
And the Chimera in the same at the same time going off to fight Hulk.
Did you seriously just call her Chimera? Because that's like yeah, Chimera. Chimera is Chimera is actually a monster in Greek mythology.
Oh, I meant you were talking about a lot of Greek mythology in the last hour.
Yeah,
so.
Me and Kay were just like discussing Percy Jackson for a full fucking hour.
It got stuck in my head, okay?
But like we never even discussed the Chimera.
Oh, well, original character do not steal one.
But anyway, yeah, like I don't know. Okay, so the animation in this movie, I thought it was pretty okay. There wasn't really any moments where I was like, "Oh, that didn't look good."
I think a lot about this movie, and especially its animation. To me, the movie is like, it's a good movie, but nothing, exceptional about it.
Right.
It's just...
And that's just kind of where I fall on the movie, like, overall. Like, it's pretty good, but there's nothing exceptional about it. Like, there are plenty of other movies that I like more than this movie, but it's not a bad movie.
Yeah, and that's how I feel like what you just said, I would watch it again, but it wouldn't be like, my first pick on a movie, on movie night.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. It's in a weird spot, I guess. It's definitely
Yeah.
better than either of the two Hulk movies that we got before it. The 2003 Hulk movie and the 2008 terrible Edward Norton Hulk movie. Which,
No, I know we're talking about
yeah,
that.
we are
Um,
definitely going to be talking
but
about that crappy Edward Norton movie at some point.
can you at least explain briefly on like, or just somewhat touch on the just one difference between like what makes this movie, pretty good and that movie absolute trash?
Well, for one, the acting. Because good God, it just felt like in the 2008 movie that people were just phoning their performances in.
Okay, is it? I'm gonna ask you. Is it like oh, I don't want to be here, or someone is pointing a gun to my head to say these
It
lines?
it feels more like, oh, I just don't want to be here.
Okay.
Yeah, and overall, like the story is just not that compelling in the 2008 movie, and you have basically the same type of conflict that you had in Iron Man, which was a much better movie. But that's all beside the point. We're getting off topic. Save all that for
Yeah,
like the
but
actual discussion for that movie.
um, you actually said something I do want to get into. The story of Planet Hulk.
Yes.
I have to say I kind of like where it was going. I think it flowed to a really good pace of what the goals of everyone was, and you know, and at least for me, you know the Red King is a tyrant definitely, but also he's evil, but at least when I watch it, you don't know why he's evil.
Yeah,
You don't know like what makes him
yeah,
evil.
and I don't know. It just kind of felt like he was your generic power hungry villain. Um,
Yeah,
and like sometimes that's okay, and I feel like in this movie it works. It functions. Um,
I think it works because of you know the whole twist with being the actual ones to create the weapon of
this the
these.
spikes, yeah, like
Yeah, and having the spikes be his downfall, not just that, but the things he built to destroy the
yeah.
spikes.
So like for me, I just kind of feel like I feel like him as a villain just doesn't really work well personally, and that might just be because like I saw the twist coming from a mile away.
Yeah, I definitely think because my mind wasn't really on like what happened, to make the spikes appear.
But
Like
like
I was like the first time, I was thinking about it the second time. It's like this is awfully convenient, but I wasn't really thinking about it the first time. But also now I think about it, in that same backstory, the Red King you know, wasn't that old. You know, so he would have to be pretty young to be making, weapons of mass destruction
and see,
of
like another thing
this
too
kind.
about it is like they established that he was already a prince at that time. So he didn't just do all of this to suddenly gain power. It just kind of seems like he did all this to make people think he was the Sakarsan when he wasn't.
Well, I mean, I guess, people, having him think that he's a Carson, gives him, a lot of respect.
Right. But like he still would have been king either way. And I don't know. Okay,
I
so like
guess,
you have a little brother too, right?
yeah.
How old is he?
Oh, I think it's like 3 or 4.
Imagine like you're stuck in that situation that Kyara was in, where like you have to kill your mom and your dad and your brother.
God, that. Oh yeah, that definitely would have. I can definitely feel for that death. Especially the way that she was protecting her brother
And
before just looking at it,
yeah,
like seeing that.
and just like ultimately failing to protect him, and then learning years later that you have been faithfully serving the person
The person
who's
that
responsible for
caused.
that incident.
I would be pissed too.
Yeah, I definitely felt for Kyra in this movie. Um,
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely like Hulk's line of, killing you isn't my pleasure.
yeah, like because even he recognizes that, yeah, like this is something that Kyra gets to do, and then I mean it's debatable whether or not she technically does it.
Well, I mean, she did, put him with the curse of the spike,
Yeah,
and
and
then,
then his own robots killed him.
which I love his death animation. I don't know why, but just the fire as he melts, that I really like that, and I put that up with the Lion King sets where his death is like a
Oh
shadow.
god. The Lion King death scene is like really sad. There was actually like a time where I saw some people playing Cards Against Humanity, and the white card was like, in the seventh circle of hell, wrongdoers will be forced to watch Mufasa's death scene was ended up being the black card played for
Huh.
Mufasa's death scene for eternity.
Oh God. No, I'm talking about like Scar's scene.
Oh,
Like you know, both are villains, but when the fire creating a shadow where all the hyenas are attacking him.
okay, I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember that scene all that well because I haven't seen The Lion King in a very, very long
Okay,
time.
but basically
We're
when
gonna have to cover that movie at some point.
yeah, but I mean it's also like a Disney classic, so most people.
Yeah, but I mean, we've also got Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs on our movie wheel at the moment, so
True. Um. Okay, let's talk about something else about Planet Hulk. Um.
okay.
I I actually we talked about mostly
Yeah, I
everything.
was thinking that we were actually getting close to wrapping up. This is a lot shorter than episode one, I think. How long have we been going for?
Only 33
Eh,
minutes.
that's fair enough. So, I guess we'll get to rating it. What would you rate this movie?
Oh God, I maybe a 7.5.
Really? Because I was actually going to be rating this one at a 6.5.
Okay, I can get that, but I want to say like this movie is above
Yeah,
average.
to me,
That's
5 is average, but 6.5 is just like the barrier where I'd be like, you once you get to 7, you're going to really good movies, in my opinion. And
really
I feel like this movie is just like is pretty good, but like I wouldn't sit there and like it's not the type of movie that I would watch 100 times.
yeah, but I also think like for me this would be like the movie I would show my friends like yeah you should watch it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
Like but yeah I think I'm firm on that 7.5. Um, I definitely liked it, especially being a superhero movie that I liked. That's impressive I don't watch a lot of superhero movies, but
Right. I think by the end of this, there's gonna like I say by the end of this as if there's actually going to be an end. But I think by the time we get through the entire MCU up to this point, I think there are going to be a lot of superhero movies that you actually like. Espe-
yeah, I definitely do think there's gonna be like movies where I'm gonna be like, okay, I just want to go back to
okay,
sleep.
but like
But
especially since we're also going to be covering other movies during that time, like uh, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I really think you're
yeah,
going to like that one.
I think I'm gonna have a little bit less like it because I've had to watch like bits and pieces of that movie. It, any movie my brother insanely loved, I go in the living room, he's probably watching that on repeat.
Yeah, but
So I just have a lot of that, Incredibles 2, um, yeah, I I'll tell you later if I think of any.
yeah, I mean, Incredibles 1 is also pretty good, and you could say that both the Incredibles movies are superhero movies, so, I mean,
Yeah, to be honest, I would count Big Hero 6 as more of a superhero
I
movie
mean,
than Incredibles, but that's
I
just
mean, Big
me.
Hero 6 is also a superhero movie because, like, I mean, they're literally Marvel characters in Big Hero 6. Um, and before we close, I do want to, like, point out that someone in the comments section on YouTube, because I actually ended up watching this on YouTube instead of Vudu,
Okay,
because for some reason
me
Vudu
too, but I never.
yeah, for some reason Voodoo wouldn't work. But somebody in the comments section pointed out that during the gladiator fights, if you actually look around the arena, you can see several other Marvel characters like Star Lord and Gamora and Adam Warlock. And as we watch through the MCU, you're gonna get to know who those characters are.
Yeah, I mean, also, before we close up, I just want to say, like, why wasn't Baymax in Endgame? Come on.
okay, okay, but like, all right. When we get to Thor Ragnarok, it'll be interesting to see which versions of Meek and Korg you like more. I kind of like both versions of Korg equally,
Really?
but I feel like Meek was just better in this movie because he was actually in this movie.
Yeah, I don't think you can be worse from a movie that didn't have you in it.
All right. Well, I guess that's all that we have for now. We'll catch you next time. We're not spinning the wheel this time because this was a movie that we picked out of the free movies that were available this month. All right. Catch you guys later.
See ya.